Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Chakadash. Double unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there, Akim to Zadakim, that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity, right? And the priest Shaman. This week's topic is going to be entitled, we're going to go out in style, right? We're going to go out in style, man. What do I mean by that? I mean, when we are hopefully delivered, and I'm going to say we're going to go out in style, Lord willing, for the we part, because we hope, we're on them chariots. By the way, the chariots, when you hear about the chariots of Israel, depending on the context of the scripture you're reading, is really going into what the so-called white man and these people today call UFOs, unidentified flying objects, okay? You might hear also, was it UAE? No, was it unidentified aerial phenomenon? So UAP. But they're not unidentified. They're actually identified in the scriptures of the chariots of Israel. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to beam us up and deliver us in this coming destruction. That's the style I'm talking about. We're going out in, because it's, you ever see them action movies and shit, and the hero gets delivered out of a building or delivered out of some situation, everything's blowing up behind him, he's walking away in slow motion and shit, all cool and stylish. That's what I'm talking about. As this place is being nuked the fuck off the face of the earth, the elect being beamed up simultaneously, right? As we always say, Yahushua is coming to bring back destruction and deliverance and death. 3Ds coming at you. Anyways, Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, and the 1st verse reads, "Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him." Right, so who's the righteous man? The elect. And how are we made righteous? Romans, the 5th chapter, and the 1st verse. Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. All right, the just or righteous shall live by faith. Okay, and our faith in Yahushua is what makes us righteous. All right. And who has afflicted us? All these nations, starting with the so-called white man. Just read Psalm the 83rd chapter on down. Esau, Edom, mainly. All right. As the scripture is going into, it says, "Such as afflicted him, and made no account of his labors." Right, made no account of his labors. You got the nerve of some of these fucking people out here, calling Jake lazy, you good for nothing niggas, and all this type of shit. Now you do have the 2/3. There's someone stigmatized that stereotype, but Jake as a whole, really, we be working, building all these nations, all these different kingdoms got where they're at because of Jake. You see, namely bondage. Egypt, America, Assyria, Babylon, Persian Empire. Jake was all up in there, man, making these kingdoms great. You see? But didn't really reap the rewards per se as a nation. Like I said, you're gonna have Jake scattered and mingled through all different rulerships and shit that living delicately and all that. But again, as a whole, our people build these nations up, don't get shit for it, really. Verse 2, "When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation." Right, the strangeness of his salvation. When you really get into the truth, from the outside looking in, it sounds sci-fi. And I got that from Apostle Tahar. I like how he worded it, because it sounds really fantastical. Like, where Earth is being America's being blown up, chariots coming out the sky, beaming people up, their spirits. It sounds sci-fi, but look, man, it's a thing of faith, man. And if you really just stop and think, the world around you is really sci-fi. Look at the Earth; it's hanging on nothing, right? As the scripture says. So, and as massive as all these planets are, none of them collide with one another. There's no gravitational pull into the sun. Everything is perfectly set up in a way that seems sci-fi, if you really think about it. So when you compare some of the things that we're saying, it's not really that far-fetched, Look at all the creatures and stuff just on the planet Earth the Most High created. All these creatures that can run on water, all this type of stuff, regrow limbs. You know, that's the work of the Lord. There was this one bird, I don't want to sidetrack too much, but it came in my feed. This bird that will stay in the air for like 10 months, sleep in the air, mate in the air, all types of stuff, and just stay afloat for 10 months. Forgot the name of it, but it's a particular bird, the wing something like that. But yeah, they're going to be amazed at the strangeness of our salvation. So far beyond all that they look for. So that's what we are, you know, banking on, to be delivered out of here, man. That's why we're doing this. This is the book of Revelations, the 11th chapter and the 12th verse. Says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to the heaven in a cloud. Now, context clues. You're not going to go in the scriptures and read the word UFO, spaceship. They're not going to do that. You know, John the Baptist saw a glimpse of the future, of something that's already happened, really, our deliverance, and he's describing it in words that he best could describe it. Some prophets use scroll, some prophets use mouth, because they all seen the same. All the prophets all seen the same thing, the same destruction, same deliverance that's going to take place here. They all seen it. They just orientated it differently, based on the language and verbiage of their time, right? So the clouds is talking about the chariots, but he's not going to say chariot, all right? And just think about it like this: in the ancient world, there was no vehicles of aviation, so they, you know, what else could they be talking about? It says, and their enemies beheld them, right? So you people out there talking about God doesn't hate and God doesn't have enemies. He's telling you right now, the people that he's going to deliver have enemies, you know? And their enemies beheld them. And I just went into our enemies, Psalms 83rd chapter. 2/3 of our people too, right now. And the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. So that's going to the 10 zip codes of America. And in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, a perfect amount of number. And the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the Most High of heaven. Right, so, you know, like looking down, seeing this thing happen through that glass, chariots, you know, brother said he had a dream, you know, just the whole entire floor of the chariot was like a glass. You could see everything. But it's going to be like, yo, shit, like hearing the screams and the booms and, you know, all these missiles going off, all the death, destruction, while being that it's going to be something epic, man. You know? So, you know, again, John described what happened. But before, you know, we get delivered out of here physically, we have to depart and be delivered from America up here spiritually first, mental. What do I mean by that? You know, this place is going down. This is the book of Micah chapter 2 verse 10. It says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Yeah, America is not our rest, okay? This whole generational wealth and shit like that, that's not what we're here for. You see what I'm saying? And I have to put out this caveat. I must put out this caveat. That does not mean be short-sighted, bro. Please, okay? Brothers, don't do that. Don't be like, well, this place is going to be destroyed, so I don't really give a fuck about taking on responsibilities or things of that nature, you know? That type of shit, that type of thinking, and I'm not trying to be contrary, but you really have to think long term, okay? Because, you know, short-sighted decisions, because the fact that America is going to be destroyed could really give you some long-term effects in life, man. So just please use discernment when I'm reading the scripture. It says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because because it is polluted, right? And when you go into that word polluted, let me actually go into it. Tama, it says to become unclean, to become impure sexually, religiously, and ceremoniously. So, and that's America for you, man. Okay, so we're in the world, but we kind of like move, navigating through the world. Use the world, not abuse it. It says it shall destroy you even with a sword destruction. So you get too wrapped up, boom. You won't make it. Basically, do what you gotta do in this world. Get as much as you gotta get out this world, but just don't push shit in the world before the truth. It's really that simple. You know what I'm saying? You have individuals that go too far to the right or too far to the left. They go full on like goddamn hermit, just all into teaching, and then their worldly responsibilities get fall behind. Next thing you know, constantly in the jam, constantly this, constantly that, self-inflicted wounds, if you will. And then you have other individuals that they become so inspired in the world, all right, listen to all the wake up and grind videos and shit, to the point that you start putting that stuff before the Lord. So there's a happy medium you could find, all right, in terms of really being aggressive in both, and aspiring to be great in both. When I say aspire to be great, I mean doing what you got to do to provide for your family, yourself, and things like that, vigorously. And then, of course, with the truth. Just always remember the truth come first. So yeah, get your mind out of this place. Understand that this place is going to be destroyed. And once you locked in with the truth, all right, that increases your likelihood greatly to be delivered, in style. I thought I added this scripture, but I'm gonna go to it now. I'm gonna add it right now. Thought I had it. I thought I added it to the queue. Book of Revelation, chapter 7, verse 1. It says, and after these things, it with me. All right, it says, and after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. Right, because there's angels really holding back the destruction. And we always go into this. The Most High is bound by His word. There's certain particular prophecies that have to take place before this nuclear destruction could come. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, in their foreheads. All right. That links with the mark, the righteous mark, which is to be exempt from the judgment. All right, not the mark you read about in Revelations, the 13th chapter. That's the RFID microchip. This mark is being sealed with the knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Right, knowing who you are, having the faith. You know what I'm talking about. 3, it says, verse 4, it says, and I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were 44,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Right, so 144,000. Now you have the elect, which is 1/3 of the nation of Israel. That 1/3 number is not an exact defined number, because we can't number Israel. We don't know what 1/3 of Israel is right now. But within that 1/3 of the nation of Israel, you have 144,000 men. 12,000 out of each tribe. All right, that will be the governing body in the nation in the coming kingdom. All right, so just like how you have in this society, like Esau's on top, but not every Edomite is on the same level. You know what I'm saying? So in the kingdom, Jake will be on top. Every single Israelite will be living fantastic, What's the richest Edomite in this world? 500 trillion or some shit like that? Well, in the kingdom, that's uptight money. Look, I'm uptight. I need 500 trillion. You know what I'm saying? That's how good we're going to be living. But now you have the governing class in there, right? So governing class is going to be that 144,000, which we're hoping and inspiring to be a part of. Man, I don't give a fuck if I'm a doorkeeper, King David said. Just get me in there. I just want to get in. You know what I'm saying? You could, hey, Lord willing, make it in the kingdom. Listen, Shimon, you number 144,000. I don't care. Just as long as I'm in there, Brakat the Yahweh Shem Yahushua, because you're set beyond your wildest dreams. All right, being a member of the elect. You see what I'm saying? I mean, just being a member of the elect, you blessed. But even being in that 144, man, you know what I'm saying? That's man, boy. See? And in the same time, you know what's crazy? These people in the world will say that we don't aspire to things. Man, this is the most ambitious thing in the universe right now, trying to be a part of the 144. It says, tribes of Israel out of the tribe of Judah. And from the 5th verse on down, it goes and, you know, into all the tribes. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump down to verse, I think, 9. All right, so after it goes into all the tribes, verse 9, Revelation 7 and 9 says, and after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all the nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. So that great multitude, all right, is not talking about the other nations. All right, I know when you read the next verse and in different verses, people think it's talking about all. When you read this, Revelations 7 and 9, you hear all kindreds and these sorts of things, you start to believe, oh man, it's the entire universe and multitude, and you know, vocab gets all caught up in that. But who's that great multitude talking about? Let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra 3 and 16. You know how you want to remember this scripture right here? You know how they say John 3:16? Now, just go to 2nd Ezra 3:16. And let's see who that great multitude is talking about, right? So this is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 3, verse 16. It says, and unto him thou gavest Isaac, and unto Isaac thou gavest Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob, thou didst choose him to thee. So Jacob's chosen. Okay, so you have a chosen people, and within that chosen people, you have a chosen 1/3, and with that chosen 1/3, you have another even chosen governing body. See? So it says, choose him to thee, and put by Esau. Now, put by is Old English for reject. So he's just pretty much saying, I rejected Esau. Linking with Romans, the 9th chapter. All right, Jacob as I love, Esau as I hated. So, and put by Esau, and so Jacob became a great multitude. See that? Jacob became that great multitude. So that great multitude you read about in Revelation 7 and 9 is talking about Israelites, man, scattered throughout the whole entire world, man. Looking like the other nations, talking like the other nations, but we vibe different. You know, just our spirit different. You know what I'm saying? So that's it, man. You know, we're gonna be delivered in style, Lord willing, and Lord willing, very soon. You know, so I can be excited about all the things that's going on in the world, right? So with that, we give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rachach Kodash, the blessed of the apostles, the elders, of Great Millstone, true wealth. Salutation to the whole field elect that day. You Akim to the Dakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. Shalom.